something. I just watched your pre stuff. I'm like, man, she did some fancy stuff.
I did not do anything fancy. It was me. But anyway,
I
I'm going
love
to
it.
chuck some links in
Hi,
there.
Joy.
Keep it going. Joy's here. Greetings.
Susan, do you have a Twitter account? Can you drop that in the chat for me? Because I'd love to follow you.
I'm Goshe Sue, but I'll put it in chat.
Yes, please. I'm not great at multitasking, so then volunteering to be a moderator is like, okay, let's give myself a big old challenge today. Awesome, thank you.
I just dropped some links in the chat. So there's a link to my slide deck if you did not look at it already. I mean, I did have like some 5 people or something that did look at my stuff, which was very exciting. And I was going to base my session on what people answered in the pre-work, which obviously, you know, I didn't really have that many. I mean, Lisa's here. Lisa did it. But the other people that did it are actually not in here, which is interesting. No,
they're on their way.
Don't worry, Joy. But yeah, I put a couple of links in. This is my slide deck. I mean, I set a bunch of ed puzzles for people to do, really. I mean, just to get an idea of a couple of things. I will introduce myself and stuff in a moment. I mean, I know you're recording, but
yeah.
There's a couple of questions in the Menti, and then we'll do a book it together. But yeah, Joy, I know.
That's what I told her. That's what I told her, Joy.
It's all right.
Oh, Mickey, I love it. I love your optimism, Mickey. I'll do it after the happy hour. No.
That's funny.
All right. I think we should get started because by my clock, it's 12:03. It's 11:03 officially Central Time, but wherever you are, it's 3 minutes past the hour. And Fliptech2021 continues with session F2, which is all about stakeholder engagement. And so I'm going to turn it over to your illustrious speaker, Mel. So any questions that you have, drop them in the chat, and I'll make sure I'm keeping an eye on everybody.
Illustrious. I'm not sure about that. Okay, but anyway, hi everyone. Welcome. Thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate you taking your time out of your vacations. If you are on vacations, I'm guessing you probably are. So my presentation, well, it's not really a presentation, but my session is based on stakeholder engagement. So just a quick intro about myself. So my name's Melissa. I'm at Funguli on Twitter. If you don't know me, that's where I'm probably most active. I'm in Cali, Colombia, so I'm an Australian, as you can probably tell by my accent. But yeah, I've been teaching here for the last couple of years, Taiwan before that for 5 years, and before that I was in Australia for a few years teaching like English and maths, but now just teaching mathematics. So that's me. So what? Oh, that's me. Sorry, I forgot, like I set this to autoplay with my amazing audio, which is like next level. Anyway, this was my presentation. Okay, this is my pre-work. So I had like these 3 main stakeholders, basically, you know, students, parents, and our colleagues. And I had asked people to, you know, try to do one of each of the things before you come in here, so that I would have an idea of like what I would focus on for this session, you know, what people need extra help with and whatever. So like with students, I had like a daily agenda, which I used. And then I had stuff about participation. So like check-ins, which I'm getting you guys to sort of do in a moment. Stuff about Blookit. And then for parents, I had stuff about Motes and using video for engaging with parents. And then for colleagues, you know, stuff about Gmail. So that's for me, like email was a big thing for me this last year, and there were some hints and tips there. Now, from the 5 or 6 people that did do the Ed Puzzles / Nearpod, most people looked at the agenda. No one looked at participation, so maybe no one cares about participation. That's quite possible. A few people looked at Mote. 1 person looked at video. And a couple of people looked at the inbox, so stuff about like chat, email, that sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. Now, so for me, I mean, I was going to go over the main things that people had asked me about, but before that, now I did drop, I think, 500 links in the chat earlier, so I did ask people, I think, to drop, yes, Lisa's dropping all the things in there. So there's a quick Menti there that I'm just asking you guys to answer, and then I would like you to join the Blookit because I'm going to show you how it works and why I think it's cool. So I'm going to have a quick look to see what you guys are doing. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, but welcome. I know a few other, oh, Ken came in. Hello there. Like edu coffee again. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have a quick look at the Menti to see what you guys have been answering, to see if you guys said anything. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you didn't. Maybe no one actually joined the Mentimeter. Because in the Menti, I had a question about basically what are your burning questions for this session. So what do you want me to answer for this session? And okay, so if some people are doing it, I'm going to share here. You guys can see with my 500 tabs. So burning questions. So do my students use Slides Mania? Yes, some of them do, but their presentations, they do like it because there are like 5 bazillion different templates, but some people use other things like Slides Carnival and Slides Go. That is something that's, what's the best way? So about the parents, okay, so maybe that's something that I will chat about a bit. And of course, the other question was about, I think, what do I have on there? Oh, we have half of the people that did the pre-work and half of the people that did not. Well, that's better than no one. I have to stay positive for this for sure. All right, so thank you for responding. I did want to just do a quick check to see that if you guys had any burning questions, and yeah, it seems to be mainly about parent engagement, so we'll maybe do a bit of focus on that. But anyway, okay, so the other link in the chat is a booklet. Okay, I want you guys to play a booklet. We're going to do this together. Okay, it's very quick, it's fun, it's like Kahoot. Okay, but I want to like show like real life demo with you guys because it's something that I did with my students. So I know like with my slide deck, it sort of started off with, I've got student engagement, parent engagement, and then the colleagues. Okay, so I did want to model like a little bit of the student engagement first, since you guys are my students today. So I can drop this. Oh no, Lisa did it. Yeah, I'll give you guys a couple of moments to join. Got some funky music here. Don't worry, I didn't put any maths. I was tempted to put like basic multiplication skills or something like that, but that might bring back terrible memories for some of you. So I was like, okay, I'll stay away from that. I'm doing like movies or something like that. So it's a bit more chill for you guys. So I'll give you guys maybe about 30 seconds or so to join. I know, Lisa, right? But yeah, if you guys connect with Sue, she's like the boss for math. Okay, so again, I mean, if you see her stuff, it is like amazing. You're gonna shake her head, but it is true. It is true. Okay, don't deny. I know these things. Okay. All right. I think most people are in. You guys can still join late as well. So if you guys are just picking up with like the stuff in the chat there. Thanks, Lisa. All right, I think we're ready to roll here. Let's do this. Okay, so maybe I should explain how it works if you haven't played it before. So it's a bit like Kahoot. You have like questions, but after you get a question right, you're gonna have 3 chests to pick from, basically. So you're gonna have, and it's random whether you're gonna like triple your gold or whether you're gonna lose gold or whether you can steal gold from someone, okay? So, yeah. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing the amazing link. All right, let's do this, guys. This is a 3-minute booklet, so you can change the time. So let's go. I'm going to skip this intro because let's do this. I hate it when you get triple gold and you have 0 gold to start off with. That is lame. Remember, after you get a question right, choose a chest and then click somewhere else and it'll take you to the next screen, okay? Oh my God, Lisa, why are you stealing money from me? Come on.
Because I have 0. I keep getting, oh, now I've got, okay.
Oh yeah, triple gold, people, triple gold.
Ah. Well, now we're talking.
Ah, Ken. Nah, all the questions should be on. Oh my goodness, I got nothing. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
even know
actually
what
something
this
I don't
is.
like about Kahoot for remote is they need to watch the teacher's screen, and that's really not great in a remote
Yeah, you guys don't
session.
need to see mine unless you want to see like
Right.
everyone's
But it
like the
actually
leaderboard.
said that, which was weird.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is weird. Maybe if it
That's why I
stops
was looking
sharing
over
my
here. I
screen.
was following instructions. I'm weird.
Oh, I just lost so much money. I don't even know what some of these movies are, but anyway. Ooh. Sorry, I just swapped.
Oh, I swapped with somebody, and now if I swap with somebody, they get 0. I don't want to do that to anybody.
That's right. Yeah, I share my screen so people can see who's stealing from who and whatever, but otherwise you don't have to share your screen during this. It doesn't. Come on, Adra. Adriana. Oh, yeah. Lisa.
I gave you more money.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow. Katie has so much money. Okay, you guys have 30 seconds. I don't know these movies. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Oh, okay. Joy, 14,000 gold. Goodness gracious me. That is next level amazing. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for participating. Thank you. But you realize that it's not really about like being super fast and like, I mean, you need to get questions right. But I mean, after that, it's really up to luck. I mean, you could be on the bottom and get 100%. I mean, and as a teacher, usually I would not share this as a class, like to the class, but I'm just going to show you because I mean, you're here anyway. But I can see here that, okay, as a class, I mean, 93% correct. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I can see here, okay, Joy happened to be, or she also did get 100%. But like Adriana, who got 12, like she was on 86%, but she still came second, you know? So it's not really about the percentages. Like you as a teacher can see the percentages, I mean, in the end. But I mean, like the board that the students see is not this, okay? They just see like the leaderboard of the gold, basically. So it's like one of my favorite activities, basically, for instead of Kahoot, because a lot of my kids that were super disengaged, okay, they got re-engaged by doing this game. But the high achievers, they preferred Kahoot. Okay, so they were like, no, we want Kahoot because they were like, we always win in Kahoot. But the rest of the class was like, no, look at us, way cooler, you know? And you do have a lot of, and you do have a lot of like different modes that you can play. So the one that I just did with you guys is the gold quest, which is where you can steal gold from people. There's also one called Crypto Hack, which has basically all the things that you did just then, but there's also a thing where you can guess someone's password that's automatically generated by the system and you can hack all their money. I mean, that's also, but you have to guess their password. I mean, you have like 3 options and you need to try to guess, but that is an extra option there. Yeah, Ken, it is very true. But anyway, so that is Look It There. I thought I would, you know, expose you to that. That was one of the things that I did have happening there. Does anyone have questions?
Yeah. I like that because Kahoot, I just stopped using it. It's just stupid because students were just trying so focused on answering quickly that they weren't thinking. And that's not about my pedagogy.
Right. Exactly. So that's why like in my slide deck here, I did have a ed puzzle on Look It. So I mean, like if you do want to go over like how to use it and how to do all the thingos and all the doodahs, I mean, it is in there also. But obviously you just experience that live as well. I mean, Look It is free. There's a paid version where you can go and like if you want to make a copy of someone's and edit it, then you would have to pay. But I don't use the paid version. I think the free version is enough. really. So it's all good, I think. Anyway, so that is student stuff. So I also did stuff with a daily agenda. No one really had questions about that because I went over the people that did it. No one had questions really. I mean, I used Slides Mania. No one really asked about that. I had a thing on check-ins and engagement. I mean, like with the mentee, I mean, like doing quick check-ins at the start of the class, that is a thing that I did. I mean, like I shared this slide deck. Let me show you. This slide deck
I have a quick question actually regarding the agendas. How much time does that take you to put together, and how often do you update them?
Almost no time at all. Maybe I should actually show an agenda. Perhaps,
that would be great. Thank you.
Let's have a look. So let's see what screen I'm actually sharing. Yes, I'm sharing this one. All right. So this is my Google Classroom, okay, of one of my classes. I taught grade 9 and 12 this past year, and I used basically the same system for both of them. So at the top of Google Classroom, I pinned an agenda where it says like well, okay, my thing is like a bit ancient at the moment, but anyway, and okay, here we go. Now each day or each lesson I would just add an extra slide, basically. I mean, I have like a giant slide deck, staying on top of it as the slides go on, like but I just each like lesson I just added a new slide. I didn't do anything fancy really with it. I mean, you'll notice like for me, like they have like the different dates and they just click on the date to the slide. I mean, that's it. Like, and the slides, they all look like this. I just duplicate the slide each time and I just edit the learning objective, their roles or whatever, and whatever they're doing that day. But that's it. I don't do anything extra fancy with it. I literally I have the deck. I just duplicate the slide. That's all. And that's it. I mean, there's nothing extra weird about it or extra whatever. Again, I think in the Ed Puzzle, I might have shared the slide deck because I have a deck for agendas about like how to create agendas, like new templates, things like that. If you wanted to use mine or whatever, because you could just make a copy of mine. Let me see. Okay, these are my slides here. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing.
So is it fast just because you're always editing a template? Because I found that even when producing podcasts, it's like my show notes were huge, but it's like copy, paste, change things, publish.
Exactly. So I didn't even have to republish because it was just that same link at the top of Classroom. And I mean,
and that's great because they're always going to that same link. They might even leave that tab open in their browser if they're really smart.
Exactly. They would have to refresh it.
Saves changes every 5 minutes.
Exactly. So there, Adriana knows. Adriana knows the things. But yeah, I mean, that was basically what I did. I mean, I just duplicated the slide and that was all I did.
I like that you have it at the top, Mel. Some things I was talking to teachers about in my session last week is you might think your Canvas or Google Classroom or whatever is easy to navigate. It's probably not. You should talk to your students and having it really obvious what I need to do is so important. That's awesome.
Exactly. I think that is a big thing about getting student feedback, just making sure, because the things that we think, we might think they're super organized and it looks really cool, but the kids are like, no, I hate this,
Those faculty meetings talking about what students want. Why don't we just ask them? It'd be cool.
Right. Okay. And then every teacher does it differently, like who's organizing in classroom by theme. I was going week by week. I mean, like everybody was doing something a little different. So I kept trying to check in, and even then they still, like, I made a video on how to find your work because they couldn't even figure out how to find the thing. And if this is so much easier.
Aaron brought this up too when people were talking about which tools to use and like the tool freaks. And I'm like that because I'm a nerd, but then I decided it's just too much cognitive overload. And like every teacher is using a different tool and every teacher is using a different use and organization of that tool. And the students are freaking out. I saw it because we were watching our kids in classrooms.
Yes. Yeah. So it really, I mean, how you organize your classroom or your LMS, I guess, is really up to you. I think it is good if it is consistent again across your grade level. But each teacher does something different, and it really depends on I guess, your classes as to how you want to organize them. What I'm sharing on my screen right now is just a slide that I just shared in the chat as well. I mean, like this is just like, if you like the way that my agenda looks, there's a template for it. There's like a link to like all the Slides Mania templates. All my stuff is from there. And again, like not everyone uses Google Slide templates. It's really up to you. I mean, like in my classroom, it was because like in the feed, like the main feed, those were just like basic quick links or announcements, things. That's how I use Classroom. And then the classwork it was organized by week basically. So I had all the weeks and stuff here. I mean, of various things that were going on. But it's really, some teachers, they organize their classroom by like topic or like by month or by whatever. I mean, like it's really each to their own, I think, really. I mean, some people, in the stream, they didn't have a daily agenda like me, but they would post the agenda in the stream. So they would put like, okay, this is today's stuff. That's what they're doing. And the students appreciated knowing like what was going on each day. You know, they were like, okay, so this is what we actually need to get done or whatever. So, I mean, like you don't have to have a slide deck. That was just something that I created myself, but each person, I mean, it's just flexible. How much time do I spend organizing my week lessons? What do you mean? As in like each lesson? That
I think
you
in
mean
terms of like planning ahead, like how much time does it take you to decide, here's what we're doing for the week, and then you have to put all that in the slides. I might be wrong, Gloria, so feel free to unmute if you'd like.
Does Gloria want to unmute? I don't.
Oh,
yeah.
She says I'm right.
Well, I mean, like
that's where I am. I can't think that far ahead.
Well, no. So like I plan sort of, I mean, I have a general idea of the week as in like what I'd like to be done by the end of the week, but things change, right? So like, that's why I said the slides, I literally do those like each night. So we had 3 lessons a week with my classes. So I had 3 blocks, whatever, with them a week. And I mean, the night before I would just put the slide up, or in the morning, depending on how organized I am. I mean, that's it. Is that what you're asking? I mean, that's my classes. I'm slightly confused now about the question.
Wait, I'm trying to be clear. Yes, I mean, you prepare your classes, right? Maybe week lessons or per month, or
You mean
your classes every day? You organize your classes every day.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a general giant planning thinger. I mean, like with my colleagues to be like, hey, we want to be at here by this date, hopefully, you know, that's our goal. But I mean, myself, like my individual things, I mean, that's just my thing. I mean, like I have a general idea for the week, but then
So you plan your classes for the week, because I have to plan it.
Sort of.
I have classes every day, and I plan my 4 classes for this week. I plan it on weekends, right?
Yeah.
So how much time do you spend planning your classes for that week?
I have no idea. It could be a lot of time or not a lot of time. I mean, like you mean with all like the resources and stuff, I sort of do that each day. I'm not although the slide deck makes me look like I'm organized, okay? Like a lot of people look at that and they're like, wow, oh my goodness, you like are super amazing at planning. I'm like, no, this is like the night before. Okay, this is not, I mean, ideally maybe you shouldn't do that. You should have like a better, I mean, like I've been teaching maths for quite a long time, so I sort of have a general idea about what I want to do, but the specific resources, I mean, maybe they take 30 minutes per day. I have no idea. I don't really think about like the amount of time that I spend on planning, generally speaking. Yeah, so like for example, this coming year, I'm teaching like grade 11s. It's a new course that I have never taught before. And like I've taught grade 11 before, but it's a different course. And the grade 9s, I have to teach like an extended course, which I've never taught before either. So I have no idea what's going to happen there yet. And I mean, like I haven't really done all my planning and stuff for this year properly. That needs to happen this week, next week. I mean, it's going to happen. But yeah, and Joy, I know you were asking about the roles. So with my agendas, I didn't always used to put this in the agendas themselves, but you'll notice, let me just share my screen again, just briefly. Yeah. So for example, I've got the welcomer, the linker, the timekeeper, and the note taker. So no, so I had 5 different classes. Okay, so I had 3 grade 9 groups and 2 grade 12 groups. And my 9s, I mean, like each group, I mean, it's not like the States. In the States, you have 30 to 40 kids. I have like 20 something students, okay, for each of my classes, basically. The bagel, I change my Bitmoji each day. So each day is a bit different Bitmoji, okay, depending on whatever is going on. Okay, anyway. And I insert like a different voice note each day. Anyway, the roles, okay, so the roles, I sort of half stole them from like Steph Rothstein. She had stuff like, so the welcomer is like the kid that if there's anyone that comes in 5 minutes after the start of class, that student will be the welcomer to them in the chat. So they'll let them know what's going on, what they've missed out on, blah, 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 that sort of thing. The linker is like, but once I started up the agenda, the linker was sort of half defunct. But the thing is that some students, they didn't like the agenda. They don't like opening the agenda and accessing links from there. They preferred them to have them in the chat. I don't know how odd, but anyway, some of them, they were like, no, we hate the agenda. Like actually, even though it seems to me, I mean, like everything's organized, but I mean, like, yeah. Yes, Joy. So basically it's like, so the link is like the person that's responsible for whoever, like if I drop a link in the chat, they'll be the one that will recopy it for anyone that might disconnect, come back again, they've lost the link, they don't want to open the agenda, whatever. The timekeeper, I mean, that's sort of logical. If I have a task that needs to be timed, Lucia is going to be the one that's responsible for doing that day. The note taker is like for anyone that's absent that day. I mean, it's sort of, again, with the agenda, they sort of didn't have a very strong role by the end because, I mean, they could just be like, go and look at the agenda. But maybe there was some other stuff that maybe we covered that maybe they need to look at. So that person could go and say that. I used to have another role called the motivator or encourager. So the person, but then in the end, I was like, no, all of you guys can do this. We can all motivate each other in the end. But those are my roles and stuff like that.
Where are the notes found, Mel? When a student is a note taker, are those in Google Docs? Where do those notes land?
No, that was really like that student, like they have their own WhatsApp group or something, I mean, for each class, and they just shared, this is what we did basically in their own personal thing. Did not involve me. It's like student to student stuff. How effective that was is another question. What was it? So the deck. So for example, this deck that I'm showing right now, this is for one of my classes. So I had 3 grade 9 classes. So I basically had I had 3 copies of the same deck basically. And I just duplicate the slide and just copy it to each of the decks. And of course, I mean, like each week or each 2 weeks, I would change the roles. So each student would have a different role. Like, so you're not always going to be the welcomer, or you're not always going to be the linker. Like at the start of the year, I asked them, I was like, vote on which one you really want to have. But remember, you're going to rotate through these roles throughout the year so that you're going to have different responsibilities, whether you like it or not. It's just how it is. So it is what it is. So yeah, I only needed it. Yes. So Joy, in the end though, the deck, if you notice, like I have a slide for each class, right? For each lesson, so 3 lessons a week, it gets big. Okay, it gets too big and it gets too slow to load. So I had a new deck for the second semester. So I started a new deck then. But otherwise, yeah, it was okay for the students otherwise. But yeah, no, if you have a lot of stuff in the slides and it's like 100 slides long, it takes a while to load, and amazing internet and amazing things with that. That's why I started a new one for the second semester. Okay. That stuff about the agenda, I didn't realize I was going to talk about that much. But yeah, in each of my agendas, I mean, and again, I'm not telling you need to do a slide for your agenda. Okay, this is me just sharing with you like different things that worked for me this past year. I need to reflect properly on this past year myself and decide on what I'm still going to use next year, what was actually effective, what wasn't, etc. I know, but this worked for most of the students. Of course, you're going to get students that still don't like it, and so for some of them, I posted links on Classroom individually because that's what they wanted. Like I did a survey to ask, okay, where do you want the stuff? And in some of my classes, like 70% of them wanted the links in the chat. They did not like the agenda. And I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, and it's so important. I think this thing about students this past year was just getting their feedback. So doing polls, doing things about like, okay, so what's working, what's not, tell me. Okay, then we have a discussion about it so we know what's going on, because like otherwise you do like what you think's working maybe is not. Yeah, so Andrea's mentioning stuff with Google Sheets. So I also have like a student tracker. So like where we have a bunch, so have all the students' names and then have all the different tasks, and the students can go and tick off those tasks that they've done, or say that whether they're just starting on it, whether they need help with it, whether they're done, they want to be checked off. And each student had like their own row. They could only access their own row. They couldn't do other stuff with that. But yeah, I like Sheets for that as well. Especially if you're working on a project, it's good for them to just go and check off different things, and you can see as a teacher as well, you know, who needs help with what. But yeah, anyway, that's my slide deck. That's my agenda. Sorry, that took like 500 years. But anyway, this is controlled by you guys. Okay, remember, like this thing, I was just basing it on what you guys want. I wasn't going to present. I wasn't planning to present on agendas, but because Lisa asked a question about it, and then I spent like 15 minutes talking about agendas. Anyway, okay, and I did have a deck for the engagement stuff. I know, so stuff to do with like check-ins and that, because that was a big thing for me with student engagement. So just being able to understand, I mean, like at the start of each lesson, different things to do, whether it's like a Google form or whatever. I shared this slide deck. Okay, this deck is in the stuff about like I put a bunch of different things in here. So I have things like, let's see. So like there's check-ins, 5-minute connectors, this or that, whatever. I mean, there's games, etc. What are we talking about? Yeah. Well, I had like a bunch. I had this. Okay, so let me take a step back. Let me stop sharing my screen. So my presentation had 3 elements: the pre-work, the student engagement, parents and colleagues. And talking about the student engagement, no one did the student engagement participation tab, but I'm just re-sharing with you the fact that I do have a what do you call it? I mean, like I have a deck of these resources for you guys if you want it, and I can drop it in the chat. No one asked about it. Like no one asked me anything about it in the pre-work, but not many people did the pre-work. So, I mean, that is a slide, that's a published slide deck with a bunch of resources about like different check-ins you can do, different types of reflections, different games, different things, just to like retain student engagement. Because at the start of every one of my classes, I spent the first 5 minutes doing some sort of check-in, whether it was on a Jamboard or a Google form or a Menti or just a poll in Zoom or whatever. Yes, and yes, Desmos is epic also. I mean, Sue's mentioning that, like, and it's not just for maths. Anyway, I don't want to get distracted on that. I mean, it's fine though. I mean, like everything, this is running itself, right? It's all happening. The other thing was on parent engagement. So a couple of you did answer the Menti and said that one of the things was about engaging parents, right? So in here, okay, and this is my original deck, I did have an puzzle on Mote and on video, and a few people did do the Mote one. So what I did with my grade 9 parents, so every Friday I would send out an email giving them some information about the week. So like what had happened during the week and what was going to happen in the next week, and for them to reach out to me if they had any questions. Now what I put in this email was, okay, thanks. So at the start, I did flip grids. So I did flip grids of my amazing face saying, you know, hello, this is what we're doing, and screencasts and that sort of thing. I sent that to the parents. Then I did looms. I became obsessed with loom. Loom is like my thing. I do looms for everything. And then I started using Mote, because most of the parents of my kids, they are Spanish speaking. So I realized that with the videos, I mean, they couldn't probably translate that. I mean, they're probably like, what is going on? I can see her face. I can see she's talking. I can see things that she's pointing on the screen, but I don't know what she's saying. So Mote, and okay, Mote, like there's a transcription feature, and I'm sorry, I know like basically in conferences, I understand that basically you want to say everything that's free, right? And I'm sorry that Mote, I mean, if you want transcription, you have to pay for it. I'm a Mote ambassador though, so I don't have to pay for it. Yay. I mean, but But for me, that was a huge game changer, is changing the transcription language to Spanish. So when the parents went to access my message, they could hear the message being played in English, but they could see the transcription written in Spanish. And they said that it was epic. They really liked that, because I asked them for feedback. I was like, is this good? I mean, do you like being able to see this and the translation, all that sort of thing? I know, Andrea, you asked in like she's one of the people that do my pre-work. She asked about the transcription. She said like her parents, like they come from a variety of different backgrounds, right? So like if I translate to Spanish, then maybe I'm not catering for everyone. But basically when they open up a Mote, I mean, they have the voice message, they have the transcription next to it. So you can make the default English and they can go and translate it. I mean, so they can just copy paste it. That's fine. Also, I mean, like if you have parents from a variety of different backgrounds, that sort of thing. That's what I thought Mote was super powerful for, is that transcription, like the transcription and the translation for me. Yeah, that's really cute. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. And yeah, about video. So I use Loom a lot. You guys didn't really ask questions about this. I don't know, do you guys have what questions do you have about parent engagement? I know some people might have Google Sites, and I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it because I know Google Classroom is not the best. And I know I don't know if Katie's here, maybe, but she's Edmodo, okay? So I mean, like, and I know Edmodo is really cool, but I'm just thinking about the different platforms and stuff. I mean, I just have Classroom, and Classroom's not the best for parents, so that's why I did screencasts or whatever for parents, and just did that weekly email. And I mean, like, what I'm thinking is that for the start of this year, I'll probably send out a poll to the parents and ask them how do they prefer to receive the information. I mean, is it okay if I just send a weekly email, or do they want a site where I have all the stuff on there? So we will see. And yeah, about the thing about, so I think it was Lisa might have asked about Flipgrid. So Flipgrid has like mixtapes. So my students, if they did something during the week on Flipgrid, I could make a mixtape, which is like a playlist of all of the students in the class and all the different things that we're sharing or doing, and then share it with the parents, like just one link, and they can go and see all the different videos. So that was something that was pretty cool. Yeah, format that they don't need to log in for. That's right. I mean, like, to make it easy as possible, right? I mean, if it's just an email, all they do is just click and they can see the message or see the thing or whatever it is, that they're seeing. I think the easiest sort of things are the best ways. The whole purpose of this was that I wanted you guys to like share, I wanted you guys to share like different ways that you've been doing. I wanted you to create things, but almost no one did, but the pre-work, so no one shared anything really. I mean, like, I know that 5 of you did it. Okay. I know that you did. Okay. But okay, no. Okay. So Lisa has a question about like whether they reply on the Flipgrids or the Looms. Not really. I didn't have that, but I think like this next year, I really want to work on my parent engagement, just starting from the start, like giving them a sesh on like, what I'm going to use, how to use the things, doing something with them together. Like what Katie, I think Katie might've mentioned something with, doing like an air puzzle, about the expectations, about the different platforms, and doing things together with their kids at the start so they can see, the bits and pieces of what to do. And because like with Loom, it's true. I mean, you can go and, what am I talking about? You can, like, parents can reply to a Loom. They can react with emojis. They can do all the things. I mean, maybe they don't know about that. Yeah. Okay, so talking about, yes. See, so talking about parents, checking their kids' email on Google Classroom. I mean, they have most parents have their own email on their phone. I know in the States you guys have like Remind or something, but here, I mean, like, we don't have that. I mean, that's like a US thing. I know that for everyone's like, that's super cool to communicate with parents. But yeah, I mean, the transcription for me, that was a big thing. So just at least, even if I was just doing a standard email, always having a translation there for them so they didn't have to go and Google Translate it. That was a big thing for me. Not all of your parents have email. Okay, that is something. Where are you, Andrea? Toronto? Ooh, okay. So I don't know if you can use stuff like text stuff. Like for me, like I can never think of texting, like sharing my personal thing. I know people use like Google Voice or things like that. WhatsApp is a disease here. Yes, there's all the all the parents usually have their own parent WhatsApp groups. That is really interesting. So I'm just reading the chat. I know I'm just making weird sounds or whatever, but that is a big thing. Yeah, about phone numbers. But I think that if you have Remind, right, do people know your number
No, they don't.
or not?
No,
No,
with Remind,
Remind
you don't.
eliminates the in-between.
Right. Okay, so is that only for the US though, right? Is it?
No, it works in Mexico too. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not sure where it
web-based.
works and doesn't.
Okay, so maybe
It connects with SMS as well. So the way it's used depends on your situation and stuff. I'm not a big fan, but lots of people love it.
Yeah, there's an app you can use, or like Ken said, you can connect to their text messaging. It comes through and says, from Mrs. Leahy. They join various groups. It's all free, but it hides their numbers and your number. So I have students who just exclusively contact me through Remind constantly.
Yeah.
It's just easier. They've always got their phone, and so it's just automatic for them.
Yeah. The barrier as always is some people don't want to install another app.
Right.
And there's so much pushback, and that's why they keep pushing what's up here. And as a privacy professor, I push back because I don't like every 18-year-old girl having their phone number in the hands of everyone else.
Right.
And professors don't notice this, and they go, I never had a problem with it. Well, you're not an 18-year-old girl or vulnerable youth or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And with Remind, you can prevent them from contacting each other.
Yes.
You can allow them to text you back, or you can say, nope, it's only one way. I only go that way. There's a number of different elements you can play with.
Yeah, my college class tried to convince me to use Discord, and a lot of the high schoolers and the college kids that game, use
Yes.
Discord. And I did some, you do have control. You can set up a classroom, you can control a lot of it. But once again, it's another app to put on somebody's phone. And I don't ever ask that or require that. So if I kind of stick with what the school's using, and because they can do the requiring. You signed up for the school, or you live in the neighborhood that goes to the school. This is what our school uses. That's what you need to have.
Yeah, we use Google Classroom, and Google Classroom doesn't have a discussion board feature. Like, we don't use Canvas or Brightspace or any of those things where it's automatically built in. So I brought Discord in this year, and it was useful because it gave them a place to have their conversations. And I just required them. I said, make sure your username is obvious to everyone so we know who you are. And it was great for that element. But again, like you said, it's one more app, because I don't have it all in one place, which was frustrating.
Exactly. So I think, from this, you all have different ways, right, to communicate with parents, and it really does depend on your school or where you're at and, your situation, the environment. Each person has their own preference, really, and whatever works best it's up to you. Yeah, Google Groups. There's so many different things. But like as Ken mentioned, it's sort of like about like what is the most easy, right? What's the most easy and accessible that doesn't involve privacy problems? I think that's a big thing. But Ken, did you want to say something else?
Timing was issue too, Mel. For my high school student, they would organize an event to say stuff, but they'd have it at 5 p.m. on Monday or 5 p.m. on Thursday. I'm like, you need to do different options of hours for different parents. So you got to be really careful about that when you're organizing informational sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So things like on Google Calendar, you have that appointment slot stuff. So you can open office hours, and then parents can, I don't know if you guys use Google Calendar though. But it's a super useful thing. So like whenever I did, for example, even like parent or even student meetings. So if I wanted to block off a point like of time of like maybe 2 hours, like from, I don't know, from 3 to 5, whatever it is, then the students could just use the link and then choose whichever time suited them, and they wouldn't overlap with each other. And I could choose like how long I wanted the slots to be. So if I wanted them default 15-minute slots or something like that, and they could just click on the link and make them, and they'd block out my time. So they could not make appointments in any other time. So that was something that was really useful for me when I had to do special, like with my grade 12s, I was working on like final end of year assignment things, and I had to make some like appointments outside of like school time with them to meet with them, but I want it to be on like times that are suitable for me, obviously. So I use those. So appointment slots in Google Calendar were really useful for me. But that's just me. It's just setting office hours, you know, so people know like when they can contact you. And that sort of brings me into like the last point. I know I only have like 4 minutes about like the colleagues. So about like advice for each of us, right? About like things that what's worked for us that's been helpful. And I know not everyone uses Gmail. And I know in my presentation, I mean, like I did, you know, talk about Gmail. It's all about Gmail for me. And I don't know, maybe some of you don't have Gmail, but for me, like Gmail, that's the thing that I use for basically everything. So about like the communication, like in my presentation, I talked about snoozing emails or filtering things, putting labels, whatever. Like, so for me, like most of my emails, you'll notice I've got a few in here that I haven't sorted or whatever. But I mean, usually I'm at inbox 0. I don't have anything in my inbox because they all get filtered to all the stuff that's on the left here. And in my ed puzzle and stuff, I'm not going to go over it now because we only have 3 minutes. But I mean, like in my ed puzzle and all the stuff that I shared with you, I go through step by step how you can do all that sort of stuff. And scheduling emails. So scheduling is a huge thing that I just want to show, like, just in case you don't know, because for me, like I see emails at like 6 p.m. or at 8 p.m., but I don't want to reply and for them to continue a conversation that time of the night, right? It's like next to send button, there's always a schedule. Oh my God, I need to like do my own thing. So let's just say I want to schedule an email to whatever, and I can choose a time. I can choose a time of whatever I want to schedule that email for. Okay, and usually it's the next morning. I usually do it at 7 a.m. the next morning. That's what I'll do. So I don't have a conversation at someone at like 10 p.m. at night. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat now. Sorry, I'm just reading. But yes, anyway. But yeah, that's a big thing for me. So scheduling emails, snoozing emails so you don't forget about them later, because I think Andrea mentioned in her feedback, yes, because she's one of the people that did the pre-work, she mentioned that she might have put stuff in start originally, but forgets to check it. So if you snooze an email, it snooze and it'll come back into your inbox at like 6 o'clock or whatever to remind you, hey, you need to look at this email now. But that was a big thing for me, like with emails, just sorting all the stuff, because I know some of you are comfortable with having 1,000 unread emails in your inbox. But for me, like last year, so 1 year ago, my inbox was full. I mean, I had like a bazillion, 10,000, 16,000 emails. And then I was like, I watched a video about inbox 0, getting your Gmail organized. And I spent like an hour, but I set up all the stuff and now I don't need to do anything anymore. I can just drag the stuff to organize it. So I can go back to look at it. I know where to find stuff, because otherwise, like an email, things get lost. I mean, like where is that thing from that person from I don't know when? So, but no, Andrea, it's each their own, right? I mean, like everyone has their own categories for inbox. I mean, it's really up to you about how you organize it. It's however you feel comfortable with it. Like originally I was okay with that. And then now I'm just like, no. I just want to have all my stuff like this now. I just changed in like the last year, basically. Yes, archive. Yes, Ken. That is the thing. That is what I do. Like archive all the things and then bye-bye. And then it's not in there. But that was a big thing for me. But the big thing I'd say for if you don't know about schedule send, use it. Like, but that's me just forcing my ideas into you, because people shouldn't be in the habit of checking and replying emails at like 8 p.m. at night or 10 p.m. at night. Even though us as teachers, maybe we just do it, okay? Because whatever our well-being, who knows where that is, and we just decide, oh, I'm addicted to email and I love email and I like seeing all the emails, I want to reply to it now and all that sort of thing. But I mean, at least use the schedule send so you don't have a conversation at like nighttime. But anyway, at least you can have it to do. And I'm reading all the things. Yes, the calendar is so powerful too. Anyway, okay, I'm going to stop talking. I know it's already 50. Okay, I know Matthew's probably like, it's like the end of the time right now. And yeah, I just blabbed on all this stuff and I wasn't going to blab on those things. But yeah.
Now, why don't you drop your Twitter handle and your email in the chat, and then this way we can contact you if we need you.
Sure.
And if anybody has any last questions.
Yes, I also have a feedback form if you guys want to like fill that in just to let me know. I know it ended up me talking too much in the end. I wanted you guys to share. I mean, the whole thing, like if everyone done the pre-work and about, oh, this person has this idea and that question and all these things and la, 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 but then it didn't happen. Oh, thanks.
Ken on the ball with the link.
Yeah, my email is here. I mean, it's also on the slide deck, but I mean, you guys probably.
I put your
didn't
Twitter
look
up
at the
there.
thing. Thank you. But yeah, my Twitter is where I'm most active, but I understand that not like all of you use Twitter and whatever for that. But yes.
Okay. And no, very well, very well. So apparently I'm the timekeeper, but no, just one other
Once
thing.
Matt shows up, you know you're done.
Wow, party's over. He showed up. I gotta go watch the news now. Yeah, I gotta go home. But while I have so many moderators here with me, do remember that I sent you an email, I believe, yesterday or day before about a moderator submission form. I will send it out again this evening. I just shared the link, by the way, with you, Ken, so you can always see it, the back door, so that we can post it to the site. Same thing, I shared it with Kate, but only reason I mention this is because